Hey, Jim, you up for the prayer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
Ready to roll. You got me trained. I'm going on me.
Well, you have to
Hello.
be prepared, yeah.
I'm in.
Oh, yeah, she turned 10, so I'm 9. So they,
How many grandbabies do you have?
7,
7?
yes.
That's like one birthday a month.
What you say, Mom? When the tribe comes over, it's like 20. It is, about 20. I love the
Oh, yeah.
Good morning. I'd like to welcome you to our work session this morning. I would ask you if you have cell phones to please put them on silence or turn them off. I would ask, please, if you would stand and have Pledge of Allegiance by Mayor Pro Tem Reed and prayer by Councilmember Maladowski.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bow with me, please. Gracious God, thank you for the gift of today, for the chance to contribute, to listen, and to lead in this place we call home. Be present among us now. Lend us clarity, compassion, and the courage to do what is right, not just for today, but for the future we help shape. Help us hear not only the voices in this room, but also those who go unheard. May we work together with integrity, embracing our differences as a strength. Bless every person here, officials, staff, and citizens, with a shared spirit of purpose and a commitment to building a just, welcoming, and thriving community. We pray with hope and with hearts ready to serve. Amen.
Amen.
All our council members are present this morning. We can get a nod to approve our call meeting, the minutes of our call meeting of June the 30th, put on the works on our agenda. Thank you so much. This time we have our city manager's topics. Mr. Clem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do have 6 or 8 items this morning. First, in the area of events, I just wanted to highlight and recognize and congratulate our Main Street staff, Sarah and Colleen and others who did such a wonderful job on the Firefly Festivals this past weekend. A lot of residents and visitors enjoyed the event, and I only can begin to understand how many minute details there are on an event like that. So I just wanted to tell them that they're appreciated. Also, we've had the graduation of our first Police Citizens Academy, and I wanted to recognize the police department for their efforts. I also have worked in cities that have taken it one step further, and that's something that we're exploring, which would be while the police academy continues, to consider the possibility of a citizens leadership academy, which would include every department in the city. We've done that very successfully in other cities, and it's not in competition or in lieu of. The police academy is very targeted and it gets into much more detail than a more generic citywide academy would. But I think it's a wonderful opportunity to connect us with our citizens, and whether you're a native Madisonian or you're here brand new, There's always something to learn about the operations of city government, and the more our citizens know, the better off we are. And it's also a wonderful opportunity to recruit potential committee members for future service, public service or whatever. So I just wanted to applaud the police department on their efforts in their first academy. I also, since Sean Wood is here, I just wanted to say that a day doesn't go by that I don't get a call from either one of you or from the general public about something. A tree needs to be trimmed, some grass needs to be mowed, some trash didn't get picked up, or whatever the case may be. And I just wanted to publicly recognize Sean and, of course, Aaron Tewksbury, who's been fabulous. They have a true sense of customer service, and I think our citizens are served well. But I thank you, Sean, for your department's efforts. I also wanted to mention to you that, of course, we have the 250th anniversary of our independence coming up this next year. And we're contemplating changing things up a little bit. And I wanted to get feedback from you, not necessarily today, but in the near future, about the possibility of having our annual event actually on the 4th of July, which next year, interestingly, is on Saturday. And also including more community groups to really have a citywide, or countywide actually, celebration. And I have discussed this matter with Adam Mestris, and he's open to the possibility of shifting the activities onto July 4th. The other thing is that there is a group of folks that would like to see if they could do some private fundraising and significantly raise the amount of money that we allocate every year for our fireworks, to do something spectacular. And so we'd also work with Main Street to see if there's any additional activities. I know they'll be placing flags out for that period of time. And so I just wanted to let you know about that in case you hear it out in the community. I think it's eminently doable, and I think we're being asked nationally, our federal government is asking all communities to allow for proper observance of this very special year coming up. So I just wanted to plant a seed and see what you think of that. I also wanted to tell you that I have been in significant negotiations with our county through Adam Mestris. We need a long-term location for our leaf and limb debris. We've been very fortunate in the past to have a private sector person work with us, but that isn't guaranteed in the future, and I don't want the city, because I know how important our weekly pickup of leaf and limb are to our residents. I don't want us to wake up one morning and find out we don't have a location to put all of the debris before they're chipped up. So Sean and DPW have been working very closely with our county. They've identified 5 acres over at their facility over on 441 that I think would be ideal. And so I think that there's going to be a happy ending in terms of that regard, and I can't thank Adam enough for his willingness to work with the city on issues of mutual concern. I recently have been contacted by the owners of the former Flambeau property and have a little good news. They've hired a firm out of Atlanta. They're supposed to be sending me the contact information that I'll pass on to our planning department if they don't have it already. The one good piece of information for all of you is that when I talked to the owner's representative, they said they have no interest in warehouse and distribution or any activity that would generate a lot of truck traffic. They have tuned in to what's going on in Madison or whatever. They're looking at light manufacturing or whatever. They do want to know what the county and the city can do for them in terms of financial incentives or whatever. So I will ask planning to see if there's any options there and talk to the county or whatever. Especially if they're proposing something that is consistent with what we want in Madison. If there are things that we could do, I think we should consider doing that. Because no one wants an empty building. Everyone would like to see it productive. I had a meeting last week with our school officials about the new building project. That is progressing nicely. We're working very closely with the schools on that. And one item that they wanted to talk to Sean Wood and I about was reconfiguration of the road, which I think is really interesting. It not only, as proposed, would significantly address the challenge that parents have every day when they're dropping off their youngsters, but also area neighborhoods trying to get out to go to work during that period of time or whatever, and they're talking about a roundabout and whatever, and Sean and DPW are evaluating that, but I think that holds a lot of promise. Of course, they wanted a meeting so that they could talk about partnerships, and you know what that means. And so I had to remind him, I'm getting used to giving the speech about how big the slice of the pie is in terms of the taxes that come in compared to the schools and the county. So I had to remind our friends of the school system once again that we have this little teeny sliver of a slice. But I think it's really promising, and Sean does as well, and Aaron Wadley, that it could be a great thing for the city. And I've contacted Councilmember Malinowski because that's his district, and I'm sure folks in Cedar Lakes and other areas right around there will be very interested in what's going on. I had an occasion to attend with staff, with Miss Molly, 2 weeks ago, the District 1 Town Hall meeting that our Mayor Pro Tem called with our Madison's representative on the county. I thought it was very productive, some great ideas. I think Molly did a fabulous job in answering questions, and I've had residents say that they really appreciate you, Molly, in terms of your commitment to this and your common sense and your approach that was demonstrated at this meeting. And we look forward to get going on the project. We're working with planning and with DPW in terms of the RFP and getting it going or whatever, but we're hoping for big things in terms of Andrews Park in the near future. And the last thing is that after the election, or after it's determined who's going to be on the council next year, I do want to formally request that we consider having a retreat again like we did 2 years ago. And very specifically, and I'm sure you have many items as well, but very specifically, I'm hoping that we can come to some closure on some issues that have been festering for many years. One dealing with budgetary constraints and challenges. Where are we going? We've tightened our belt, we've tightened the budget, staff needs additional assistance, and the question is, are we ultimately going to maintain a revenue stream like we have? And if we do that, we're going to have to address the plethora of services that we provide. We're a full-service city like I've never seen. But that costs money, and so we all have to, there's no good guys and bad guys, but we need to roll up our sleeves and say this is going to be our approach over the next couple of years to address that concern. The second one is an issue that Sean addressed during the budget, and that is we have some infrastructure issues that need to be addressed, and we need a direction in that. And the third is something that Monica and planning have talked about, but that's the whole issue of growth. We need to clarify once and for all what our vision is for growth in general, economic development or whatever, and I know there's efforts. Miss Betsy was active with the county to see if we could collaborate with them or whatever, and we have a comprehensive plan that needs to be updated, and we've just received a bid on that, and I haven't evaluated it, and I talked to Adam yesterday. He hasn't evaluated it yet, but that'll be coming to the council very shortly. It seems like a nice piece of work by both our planning department and the county. But there's also the economic development issue that was raised by Councilmember Wagenhauser at this county meeting, and where we're going with the county on that, because we're not an island unto ourselves. What we do affects the county, what the county does affects us. We've got to join hands on this. And in those three areas, I'm hoping through at least one retreat or more that we bring some closure to these issues and have a direction for the next 2 or 3 years. And lastly, one of the highest priorities that we have, probably over the next 5 or 10 years in terms of an actual building or infrastructure, is our fire station. And we just had a meeting yesterday for a couple hours to talk about financing or whatever, but we will be coming forward very shortly with a proposal to get that project off and running. Because that's a public safety issue for our citizens. The whole reason we need an additional station is response time. And that station will significantly reduce response time. And that may not be an issue for you, or your husband or your wife might be laying on the floor hoping that fire truck or ambulance gets there in a timely fashion. It's important to those that are impacted or whatever. So we're doing everything possible to make that a priority for this year, to get the ground broken this year on that project. And that's all I had, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that report. Discussion and verification of tentative transportation plan meeting, date of October 20th. Is that, Molly, is that you?
You want me to? I would just like to say, Molly, you can, we're just trying to be responsive to the general public. When we got in this, there was some criticism about the process or whatever, and this council made it very clear that you weren't throwing fastballs, that you respected the process. You had some wonderful town halls. We got some great input or whatever. And now we need to wrap it up so the planning department can go on and work on their other 37 projects. But the question is when. And so there were a lot of input that people go away until at least Labor Day or whatever. So we looked at September, and we've got a couple of big things coming up in September. So we landed in October. That's the proposal, October 20th, which would be a special meeting on a Monday night, so that this would be the only thing discussed. And hopefully, once and for all, we could bring closure to this issue. But if that's not with your liking, then we could change the date or whatever. But we're just trying to bring the project to closure.
I have nothing to add. Yeah, I think we're just looking for a date for that public hearing.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thanks, John, and we look forward to
Is that the tentative date then, the 20th,
October 20th.
5:30?
Yes. Main Street update, Sarah Wabell.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
All right, well, I shared my report in your packet, so you had a chance to look over it because, you know, there are a lot of numbers and I don't want to take up too much time this morning. But if you have any questions about that, please let me know. I will clarify that under public improvement projects, I had left on a number from the previous quarter, so that 2,000 top number, just ignore that. The public investment for the downtown area was $48,812. And we had 5 new businesses opened on the second page of that report. You'll see the listing of the new businesses. I was trying to figure out how to calculate when businesses sell but remain open, like Town and Country sold. So I'm like, did it close, or how do I not report that at all? So I put it as closed and opened for that one because I wasn't sure if I should do that for you all, or if you have a preference, let me know. But we've had a few businesses open in the last couple of months. And of note, I would like to mention that I completed the Southeast Tourism Society's Marketing College Year 3. Madison is going to be hosting a Georgia Downtown Association Fall Regional Meetup. That's going to be September 16th. And so I'm looking forward to that. We held our first ever skate party as part of Summer Nights. We had a restaurant week for the first time, which featured our 19 restaurants and eateries prior to the fire that had occurred. I've worked with the Director of Public Works to create a downtown sanitation survey and went door to door to almost 40 businesses. So that was leading up to the removal of the recycling and congregate trash over on the McFadden lot. That has since been removed as we prep for improving that lot now that there's the contract in place, thanks to planning and the city manager's work and our attorney. And Director of Public Works has been great in starting to do some sidewalk cleaning as their crew can. which I'm very excited about. He and I had a conversation about that project earlier in the year, maybe back in January or February or something like that. And the plan with the community yard sale, which is coming up in 2 weeks on August 16th, is that the registration fees for sellers is going to go to downtown streetscape beautification. So 10 of the $15 is going to Director of Public Works to help offset costs of some of the sidewalk cleanings, and $5 is going to remain with Main Street for other downtown beautification projects. So we're kind of splitting the funds and trying to help offset his costs and collaborate in that way. And I'm also planning an advertising expo on September 8th, which is going to take place in this room. I've reached out to different publications, radio stations, and magazines where I know that we've had some businesses advertise in them before, and the feedback that I've heard is we plan our advertising budget early in the year, so if a publication comes up and it's like, hey, would you like to advertise with us? People are like, we've already committed what we're doing. So the idea is to bring people in so that our local businesses can maybe drop in, get information, and plan out how they want to spend their funds that they have earlier in the year. So we're going to try that and see how it goes, and it'll be exciting. And we do have our One Summer Nights concert, which was postponed due to weather, and that's coming up on August 7th. So that's going to be Grid Rocked. They're a great band, 7:30 to 9 o'clock in the park. It's free, so I hope to see you all there. And I do have the updated Heritage Tourism Grant agreements now that the budget's been passed and the grant funds were increased. So I've updated that contract, and I'm going to be able to give that to Deborah. So if you all would mind staying a moment after the meeting and signing that, since you're all here in one place at one time, that would be fabulous. And that's all I have to report at this point. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
And I'd just like to echo what our city manager said about events in the park, and this past Saturday, Firefly was a huge success. It was hot.
It was.
But, I mean, people's come into our city from everywhere just to be a part of this great celebration. I think it's because of what our Main Street director does to promote it. And even though it was hot, the park was full. They enjoyed it. And it's always a great celebration.
Thank
Great
you.
job.
Colleen,
Appreciate that.
Colleen takes
And
a lot of credit for that.
Colleen, yeah, yeah.
Yes, thank you.
You know, Mayor, if I could add an editorial comment, I have a part-time retirement job where I drive to a lot of little cities around Georgia. You do not find cities the size of Madison that have a downtown that has the energy level and the excitement that you find in Madison. I mean, you drive through these towns and you compare them to Madison, where we have shoppers on the sidewalk 7 days a week, you have people walking around, the appearance of the city. There's really no comparison, and I think it's easy for us to live in Madison to kind of forget that. Go to some of these other towns of 5,000, 10,000 people, and I mean, it's kind of sad compared to the wonderful job we're doing with our downtown. It's really, we're all very fortunate to have a town that works as well, and Main Street plays a big role in that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes,
I'm
sir.
sorry, I've got an item that I just wanted to mention, and that is, it relates to the police department, and that is, they've worked long and hard to identify surplus equipment, firearms, vehicles, other things that have been acquired and whatever, and they're trying to do a tad bit of spring cleaning. And so there'll be an agenda item on the agenda for the next meeting, and the chief has a list that Deborah could provide to you of all of the items or whatever, but they've worked closely with finance in terms of disposing of all of these things, and I had forgotten to mention that.
Thank you, sir. Urban Redevelopment Plan Update. Mayor Pro Tem Reed.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Oh, y'all don't think it's Friday. Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Sure.
Madison's Planning Department is commencing the update of the Urban Redevelopment Plan. This update to the URP will introduce 2 new URAs. You guys forgive me this morning. I'm a little slow, too. East Madison's URA is centered around Beacon Heights neighborhood, and South Madison's URA is centered around Green Meadows neighborhood.
This will be the plan's first major update since the city adopted the first URP focused on the downtown URA, which was centered around the Canaan neighborhood. And you guys know this is really near and dear to my heart because I really constantly think about housing for our community and how can we update housing and get more housing, and it's about safety as well. Over the course of the next 6 months, we will assess existing conditions within these areas, including the current state of buildings, public infrastructure, and market conditions, and make specific recommendations on how to revitalize each area. So if we're talking about these areas, please make sure you guys come out. The planning department will be assisted by project advisory groups, chaired by myself, and made up of elected officials, subject matter experts from various commissions, and residents, and our business owners from each urban redevelopment area. Invitations were sent out for potential members, including Council Members Blanton, I hope you got your invitation, Council Member, and Council Member Malinowski on Wednesday. Many of the people have already confirmed their participation. We will have open house. It will be held in both URAs on August 23rd. Please put that on your calendars. Information about the times and locations will be posted in the Morgan County Citizen on site and online at madisonga.com/URA. I'll say that again because I'm over 52. madisonga.com/URA next week. The open houses will be focused on identifying issues and opportunities within each area. Neighborhood forums will be held for both URAs on October 18th. Put that date down, please, as well. Information about the times and locations will be posted in the Morgan County Citizen as well, on-site and online at the same email address that I just called out in the coming weeks. The neighborhood forums will be focused on feedback on the preliminary recommendations developed by our PAGs. Do we have any questions this morning?
I just have one question for staff,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem. We're talking about housing, so, and I know it'll be a couple of years before, several years now before we could do anything for affordable homes, but they in the property in our city now for affordable homes that we,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There are always opportunities. It's always going to depend on y'all's willingness to do something about it. So we have people who come in all the time who want to look at land, and it has challenges. Some of it has area challenges. Some of it has the scary word density challenges, and some of it has utility challenges. For instance, we had a 9-acre parcel that wanted to look at annexing and put, they started off with townhouses, then they moved to single family, but it didn't matter what they wanted to put, and it was inside the bypass, I should say. But it didn't matter what they wanted to put on the land because we couldn't serve it. So we have infrastructure challenges, we have land use provision challenges, and then we have sometimes willingness, and there's always a construction barrier right now. I wanted to add one other thing if I could. So you're going to see a little change up in the planning department over the next year or two as we're doing succession planning. So I have asked Molly to take on a lot of the more publicly visible long-range projects, particularly the plans. We call that long-term planning. And that's not me shoveling work onto somebody else. That is me making sure that the person who's developing in the plan is hopefully going to be one of those who's carrying it forward. Plans don't get done overnight. Plans are 8-year and 10-year projects. And so we're asking for y'all to get more heavily invested in them, and we're asking Molly to do more with those so that she can take leadership. So you'll see her staffing both the urban renewal plan change. You saw her do the transportation one, and comp planning is right on the horizon. The other thing that we're doing that's a little different than we've done in the past is you saw Carrie step up and take lead. We're asking at least one council member to kind of bring that information back to you at every meeting that you have so that y'all are staying more in touch, so that you don't see the product at the end and go, oh, it's just appeared. Well, we've been working on it for 16 months. It
Yes.
hadn't just appeared, so we want y'all to be more invested. Mr. Malinowski's going to get asked to be baptized in the comp plan because it's a good way to find out all portions of the city. Eric served on it last time. We were very grateful for his service. I'm hoping that if we, I think we're going to talk about the feasibility study later on. If we end up putting a feasibility study or plan together, I'm hoping that Betsy, who's leading that charge with working with the county, will take ownership of that. That doesn't mean that there aren't going to be opportunities where you're invited to serve on the specialty work group. So I don't want anybody to be offended that you're not asking, you didn't get asked today to be the report and lead for a plan. But we're asking for the council, the legislative body, to be a little bit more engaged. And I hope
Thank
you'll
you.
see that. And I hope that you'll support Molly as she leads those long-term planning ventures. We're also shuffling up board management so that Molly gets exposed to some things that she would like more exposure to. So Molly will be staffing the housing team. So Fred, I'm going to turn it over to Molly and see if she wants to answer your housing question any differently than I did.
Thank you.
A quick question. The agency who's actually leading this urban renewal expansion, I guess you would call it, is it the planning department? Is it Carrie and the council? Is it the DDA?
department.
Who is
So-
it actually?
So these are items that you assigned in your comprehensive plan last time, and we are just executing them. Last year, we went ahead and picked them up, started working on them. And so the answer is, it's the planning department, just like we drafted the last one. And it's not just about housing, so don't assume it's the housing
Yeah.
team. It is housing, infrastructure, green space, stormwater, unfit buildings, development. It's all the things. It's like a mini master plan, a mini comp plan that kind of focuses on a specific area that was identified by y'all in 2009
Yes.
in the comp plan update as disinvested areas. And so we're following through. That's how long a plan lasts. We're following through on things that were identified in 2009. And so that's being led by the planning department, but we want to make sure that y'all stay more engaged throughout the process. So we're hoping that one council member will take a little bit of ownership and then bring it back to you at every work session and say, here's where we are. Do you have any questions? Here's where we are. Do you have any questions? And Molly's going to be leading our long-term efforts, so I'm going to ask her to come and see if there's anything else y'all have questions for her.
And I
Thank you,
definitely
Monica.
think Monica, excuse me, Mr. Mayor, but Eric, I feel as though once this starts with the planning department and all of the meetings that we're gonna have, please come out when we are meeting, and see what's going on.
Thank you.
If I may, when you were speaking, Carrie?
Yes.
One of the things you mentioned was the first upcoming open house?
Yes.
Was that correct? Is that that's shortly, is that correct?
Yes, August 23rd.
Thank you. And I'm sorry, I was making notes. That is August 23rd, where, when?
We don't have a location yet, that's what we're,
Yeah, I'll send
Okay,
calendar
super, thank you.
invitations. I'll send calendar invitations to you all that'll have the location, time. But we are nailing down those locations, actually. We've been doing that this week, so we'll have final locations, and all of that will go out next week. You'll get calendar invitations. And to speak to your question about affordable housing, you may have been referring to federally funded
Right,
affordable
right,
housing. That is correct. We are at a point now where we are at a 6-7 year window before we can bring more of that to bear in Madison. So now it really depends on market affordability. And that's where Monica was speaking to about land use provisions, utilities, infrastructure, those sort of hurdles that have to be jumped over to get to market affordability. So just wanted to add that.
So just a quick question. After the River Cudneck, Carmichael Commons, maybe a month ago, that's still a waiting list of people who really need affordable
As
homes?
far as I understand, they typically have a wait list of 200 or more on all of
Wow.
theirs.
Yes.
I think they
Yes.
actually have a combined wait list
It
for
is.
all 4 of the developments, and I believe it's over 200 at all times.
And
It
that's just
doesn't
for
wane.
Boise City just Boise City?
That's correct.
Wow.
But if I may.
But it's not just the city, though.
Yeah, it's, Molly, it's not, I believe you mean like our
Our
citizens.
city here, the city of Madison.
I don't
Our
know
county,
that those applicants are all from the city.
Okay,
no, probably not.
Yeah.
okay.
I wouldn't think so.
And Monica asked me to mention one other long-range planning process that we're working on, which is the green print. We've had a green print. It's about 10 years old now. We're updating that. Jill Reale is leading that process. So you'll see some events that we'd like to see you at as well for that. Anything else? And you'll be getting a phone call about that.
I'll be getting a phone call.
You're looking forward to it, Eric. Be ready.
Happy to answer any other questions you might have.
Thanks, Molly. Appreciate that report. Thanks, Monica. Congratulations to you, Mayor Pro Tem, for leading
you so
this
much.
for us. Appreciate that. Discussion, commission board appointments. If that's anybody's, I mean,
Well, yeah, I think that, I sort of asked that this be discussed partly because of discussions we had about our process, about electing commission members. How we do it now seems a little, we've done it for, I don't know, what, a year or two now? I know Rick had some suggestions the way we used to do it, which makes abundant sense, except I believe there's some minor legal issues with how we have done it in the past. So I'm a little confused. We've got a whole bunch of applications for this coming up. I believe we're going to be making appointments next month. And I think for DDA alone, I think we're up to about 7 applications, maybe, something like that. Well, that's one of the questions I had, and that specific question, Monica, I would like to know what seat for DDA since there are requirements for residency and business ownership, what seat are we replacing?
Yes, sir, and I don't think I'm important enough to come up. It's just that we're supposed to speak into the microphone, so, right. The quick version of that is Stacy Bassett is the one that is exiting. And so, again, y'all approach it from a political standpoint. We don't approach appointments from that standpoint. We approach it from team building. What asset are we losing? What asset do we need? So we would encourage you, if you're asking me, for you to look for someone with financial experience because we're losing, she was a CPA, so we're losing our financial person. We do have a banker, 2 bankers, but DDA is looking for a finance person, hopefully. But we also, staff will give Deborah a feedback on who's qualified to serve, whether it's an open seat, because every time we have somebody move, like if somebody's moved their residency, DDA is the one entity that has like limitations on where you can live and where you can serve. I mean, that's not true. We also appoint only HPC people from inside the district, but that's not a legal requirement. That's what we choose to do. So I need to check those. They're still coming in, so I didn't want to go ahead and knock people out without looking at the full list. But I will give that to Deborah to communicate quickly to y'all.
Yeah, in the case of the DDA, as we all know, it's kind of this hybrid of city ordinances running it and state ordinances, and they have requirements about residency, and I think 4 of the 7 have to own or operate a business within the DDA district. So there's a lot of strange things that when we look at 5 or 7 applications, it's kind of important to know.
Yes, sir. And they only follow state ordinances, so we can, or state laws, so I can provide you the section of state law that they follow. There are no local ordinances that govern DDA, but I will, y'all set them up by resolution, and then you're done with that. And so I'll make sure to give you the section of state law so y'all can re-reference it, and then I'll give you my comments on who I think meets that qualification, and I'll be prepared to be disagreed with by the city attorney or the city clerk or the manager, so.
Yeah, that is what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You pay him the big bucks to do that, so.
But to get to kind of what I really wanted to kind of get into a little bit here is the process of doing these elections. Did you want to expound any on your somewhat questionable but making a lot of sense method?
I don't wish to proffer my illegal method any further. But it was a way that we did it in the past when we had a different mayor, not Fred. And it was just in an effort to not embarrass anybody who's offering to serve, and one of us makes a motion, and I mean, we've done it different ways. And that's my only, I think that's all of our only thought process, is just try not to embarrass anybody or offend anybody who's only wanting to try. So what we had done in the past was we all had a list of names, and we circled one and passed it to the mayor, and the mayor figured it and said, okay, we are appointing so-and-so to this committee. That gives Jay some heartburn, and so I don't think we can do that anymore.
Sounds like secret ballot.
But John he shared some ideas with me that might try to mitigate or achieve what we're trying to do in terms of nominating somebody and.
Well, look, I mean, the question always, you want to make sure that whatever you do, and I'm not involved with committee and appointments, but it meets the threshold of the law in terms of the open meetings, and Jay might be able to expound on that. But the truth is that it is possible for, I mean, by the way, this is a wonderful situation to be in, because in the past, the applicants have been few and far between, but now we have a plethora of people putting in, and that's a wonderful thing.
Yes.
The more the merrier in terms of, but in other cities, there isn't the negative connotation that if there's one opening for a committee and 18 people apply, well, obviously 17 people aren't going to get it, but nothing's ever said negatively about someone, and it isn't taken that way. I think because we haven't had the scope, the breadth of so many applicants, that it's a different situation here. I think in time, hopefully we can keep up the volume of people expressing interest to participate in a program or whatever. But my understanding of the law, and I'm not an attorney, is that you have the right to talk to each other and not hold illegal meetings, but if you have a person that you feel particularly strong about, and Betsy has a person that she feels strongly about, there's nothing that precludes her to say, Mr. Jim, John Jones is applying for this, and I hope you give it some consideration or whatever. And maybe through that process, there'd be a consensus of probably where the votes are. I think I watched everyone's heads were shaking when you said, Rick, there's no interest in embarrassing anyone. And so if there's a more informal way to do it, maybe that's something that you could consider.
And so my concern would be, I think Monica said it earlier, they get people, I guess, who are most qualified, like financial background. If that occurs, so how do you, I mean,
So, Mr. Mayor, team building is not necessarily just about that. So
Right.
the way we approach it is, and I would take this brief moment to encourage you to talk to the liaison of each board if they have one, and if not, speak to the staff member, because they will often know what we're missing on the board. And I hope nobody takes this the wrong way, but sometimes when you have a board that's all women, it's a little bit of a hen-pecking party, right? And sometimes if you have a board that's all men, there's a lot of egos in the room, right? So staff is challenged with corralling who you give us, and we're gonna do our best with that. But we are always trying to look for diversity of voices, and so that's why we encourage you to look at age, race, gender, not because we are necessarily advocating a huge DEI push, but we're looking for diversity of boards.
need to.
When you appoint everybody from the same district, they're likely to live in the same income bracket in
Yes.
the same neighborhood. So ask your staff person, get feedback from them, and the diversity of viewpoints is not necessarily just profession, is what I'm advocating. So all our boards need to represent the collective of the city, not one group. So if y'all can speak to the staff person, or the mayor always used to ask us, but we've gotten away from that a little bit. So not that we should be directing it, we're just saying, ask us what we're missing instead of asking us to judge somebody. That would be better.
And Mr. Mayor, if I
Sure.
may, and I get that, and I think it's great if Monica could say, here are, for us, for the board, this is who we think, if you give us a few people to kind of
Sure.
look at.
So,
But let
sometimes
me-
we need Indians, you're not supposed to say that. Sometimes we need worker bees and less leaders. If we have all leaders in the room, they don't get anything done.
I just want to make a comment about what you said earlier about, for us, it's a political appointment.
Was it
So
bad?
Yeah, I
Oh,
mean.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean it
think-
that way.
No, stop. In the finest sense of the word, I mean, the purest sense of the word, I don't think we make political appointments. I don't think we do anything, I mean, in terms of getting some sort of gain for our position because we're putting somebody somewhere, and I understand, but, so I think we too are trying to, in the best interest of the commission, to support everybody's work, planning's work, you know, work for the city and such.
Right.
Those are we want those appointments. I don't think we try to do anything in terms of, you know, kind of politically.
Right, so the way I meant that is in the past, all the appointments tended to be more just citywide interest. And over the last 5 to 7 years, we need one from District 1, we need one from District 2. I mean, it seems to be more
I understand,
district representative instead of, and that's how the bigger cities get after a while. You know, each representative feels like they need somebody from their area. I wasn't implying another political context there.
On the other hand, that points to exactly what you're talking about in terms of trying to make sure that we get the different income brackets. You know, once we start kind of pulling from the different districts, we certainly can achieve that goal in terms of having the variety of folks serving on the
We
commission.
can, as long as we look beyond their district number.
That's right. Appreciate that. Thanks, Len.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I thank you for that point, Betsy. I agree with that. A skill set, I think, is really important for how we make this choice, but it's just one of the many factors. You know, Monica mentioned geographic diversity, racial diversity, age diversity. Those are all important factors that we, quote, politicians have to make, and not just look at it as, you know, a specific skill set. And it's even more different with DDA because of the requirements that are put on DDA membership that aren't on some of the other commissions, such as having a business and that sort of thing. So, but yeah, we have to look at the whole picture. I think Monica kind of hit that pretty well. There's a lot of factors that go into it. I did have a question for Jay, the big elephant in the room back here. So, well, I kind of don't take that personally. But as far as Rick's suggestion, which I guess we've done it in the past, it makes abundant sense to me, but I gather there's problems with that from your perspective, Jay?
Yeah, it's really probably a violation of the Open Meetings Act when y'all take a vote.
Pull your microphone down, please.
Sorry. It's probably a violation of the Open Meetings Act. When y'all take action, you have to vote and vote openly, and your individual votes on who voted for what needs to be recorded. So I think just circling names and the mayor saying this person won 4-1 and not saying who was 4-1 is probably a violation of that Open Meetings Act. So.
Even though when the state legislature passed the Open Meetings and Opens Records law, they specifically exempted themselves from those same requirements that we are now supposed to. Yeah, there you go.
The state legislator unfortunately give us and take us away too, so.
They're like Jesus, huh?
Eric makes a good point.
So
in
bearing
terms
in
of-
mind what Jay just said, what kind of method are we thinking is going to work when we, at our next meeting, when we are faced with a process?
Well, I think, let's say, Ken wanted to say something at that.
Figure this out for us.
Being the historian and, as Monica knows, a parliamentarian at heart, I'm the one who made the process that we have now, which
Yes.
evidently is we're unhappy with. But just to give a little history that Eric has already brought up, the way it kind of started out was because the way it was set up, sometimes someone would nominate someone, not really cueing into the fact that they weren't going to be appointed. And so it did not feel good, you know, to have someone nominate it and then not put in. And that's when it went to the write it down on a slip of paper, which gave me heartburn, Jay. And because, like you said, it's a secret vote and we don't have secret votes in a public forum. So we came up with this way of sort of collectively creating a slate, and then a nomination would come from that and be voted in. So I'm curious as to how we would do that in a different method, if you have any ideas.
Well, could you kind of briefly describe, I mean, we should all know this, I should know this.
How we do it?
If you could describe the method we've used in the last,
Sure.
I think it was Ashley that came up with that a couple
Yeah,
of years ago.
yeah. So if, say we have a board that has 2 vacancies and 3 or 4 applicants. So the way we've been doing it is that each council member would get 2 votes to create a slate. So you would say A and B, and you would say C and D, and then we would say, see which 2 came out ahead, and if there was any tie, then we would just, sort of like the way they do voting in New York now, if somebody didn't make it, they drop off and get their second choice. And so we would go through and do that voting again till we have a slate of 2 that's agreed upon. And then a motion would be made to appoint those 2 people, and presumably, everyone would vote for that. And that way, I mean, still, we are culling people off, so I mean, there's no way not to say, sorry, you didn't get it, because we have had, fortunately, as John said, enough, more than the vacancies. But it's just a way of culling it down, so that we can have a positive vote for somebody instead of a negative vote.
It's better than what we had, for sure.
Yeah.
A lot better.
So if I may, do we have to vote? Meaning, can we come to a consensus? Can we kind of just have a kind of overall discussion and just say, like, for example, Joe Smith is, look, he seems to qualify. I kind of think he probably would serve. I mean, can we just say, and everybody goes, yeah, we can.
Well, as Jay would probably tell you, that a consensus is a vote. It's a.
Well, that's right,
It's a
but
vote of consensus.
without actually checking somebody's, checking all the names or something. I mean,
Maybe this is what you're getting at. There's nothing preventing you all from discussing it in a work session and sort of doing like you do on other things of, y'all all sort of come to a consensus in a work session, and then the mayor asks to be for it to be put on the consent agenda or whatever. You all could come to sort of a consensus and then just vote on the name or 2 for whatever board it is at the actual meeting, if you wanted to do it easier that way. So sort of just, you're still doing it in a public forum of talking about the
Right.
candidates, but when it actually comes to a vote, you're just sort of ripping the Band-Aid off, so to
Right.
speak.
right.
You're doing that creation of a slate more informally, but
Right.
still doing that.
Right.
So the method that Ken is describing meets your muster?
What Ken has been, I guess Ken's procedure that has been doing is perfectly legal. What I just described is sort of the same thing, it's just a different way to do it, so you're not, if the heartburn is, you vote for someone in your slate and Rick votes someone differently, and y'all don't want, 5 different names coming around the room and then narrowing people down that way. It's sort of, you're still doing it in an open meeting. In the work session, you're just sort of arguing it out there, and then when you get to the actual vote, you just vote on the names.
May I say this? I think in this case,
Yeah.
this is more of a question of accepting someone as opposed to rejecting people. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're just sort of saying, I pick you, but I'm not saying you're not okay.
Yeah,
I don't
I mean,
know.
it's basically the same process, you're just doing it a bit more informally, which is perfect for a work session. And then I was gonna say one other thing about, so staff and commissions don't recommend any particular person. Because that's just bad policy, because if the person they've recommended doesn't get it, and then somebody who wasn't recommended doesn't, it already creates kind of a weird vibe among it. Now, what Monica did was perfectly acceptable. We're losing Stacy Bassett. She was the financial person, so she would encourage you to look possibly for somebody who fills those shoes, but she didn't say, who is this person right here? We're just not going to do that.
I think it's really important that we not lose the fact that all of these people have said, I want to serve.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really important piece. And they may not serve in that situation on that board,
Right.
but there may be someplace else that's appropriate.
Well, and probably all of you from your past experience, this time it's DDA's got the plethora of people, and there's some really qualified
Really.
people.
It was amazing.
They're going to get used. They just might not have a voting. But I mean, especially DDA has several committees, 3 working committees, so they're going to be
That's good.
pulled in.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
which is the great part about having this application process, that even if someone doesn't get appointed as a board member, we got their number.
That's good.
And I think too, Ken, did you not recently in the application, didn't you add an option for better communication, like either, was you added a cell phone number or,
That's always been in there,
has it?
yeah.
'Cause
Not,
that's,
not everybody puts it in, fills it out.
Okay, because that's, I mean, if we as council members wanted to contact individual applicants, or
Right,
if,
yeah.
or if our city clerk wanted to, after the vote, thank them for their interest, but let them know there are other options available and other commissions in the future, I think that's a great way of kind of rewarding the people that have applied, but weren't accepted for various reasons.
Right. And the great thing is by your suggestion, you are all getting those applications
Yeah.
immediately when they come in, so you got all the information.
That's right.
So then so we clearly don't have, we're not able to do any work anymore on that today. I mean, we can kind of decide how we want to approach it, but we don't really have all that data in front of us right here to work the process. But would we do it at the next work set? Would we want to do it this way?
Are they up for an appointment at our August meeting, Monica?
Yes, sir, but they serve until you make an appointment, so we'll be okay.
Okay, so we could, if we wanted to do the process by which we sort of informally create a slate, we could do that at the next work session and then deal with it at whatever the following meeting is, the September meeting.
Yes, ma'am, but I want to ask one question. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, I don't think we'll have any commissions that run short of a quorum, so that sounds fine.
Great, thanks.
Good.
So
we can do it at our next work session.
that if we have all the information and we can just sort of become prepared at the next work session.
Right.
With some sense about, and as Jay suggests, even discuss, talk with different council people to get some input as well. Is that what I heard you say?
Yeah.
And at that time also, we would have the vetted list that came from Monica to Deborah to us that says, here's who, I mean, because we're getting all of them, and they may not even know if they're qualified or not to serve on DDA, but it'll be that says, here's who is your list of folks who are qualified based on the requirements to serve in that commission.
Yes, sir. It would be helpful to have, we'll have I don't want to call it a vetted list because that sounds like I'm making a decision. What we'll have is a list of people who meet the skill sets, and there may be a shuffle. I have one DDA person who's talking about maybe resigning, has served a long time, and that would free up another seat, and there might be a mix in residency. So if that opportunity comes, it may come before September, so that could be a good thing, Betsy.
Uh-huh.
We also, when you send the list out, could you send the entire list so we can look at all of them? And
Ken always does.
look at all of them and not just the ones that,
That's what I was going to say. The thing that you usually get when you appoint them,
Those
we'll
packets.
just get that ready. One question, if we have, so for instance, we actually now have 2 vacancies in public arts and 2 people apply for it. Can we bring that to you in August since there's not
Yeah, as much as I like the idea of having a work session to discuss it, I hate to delay. And we're talking about a month from now for another work session, another 2 weeks after that before we have appointments.
I think that's the only one. I think, believe it or not, that we have housing, DDA, and corridor. They all have more applicants than positions available, which, as John said, that's
And I know with
fantastic.
public arts, at least one of those candidates has been waiting a while.
Right. So.
Yeah, I think if it's I would say if it's just a sort of a clean shot
Right.
to
There's no reason to-
vacancies that we just
Okay,
make those.
so we
need to wait on
could
that
do
one.
that vote, at least for public arts.
Right.
yeah.
Was there any other
I
one?
think public arts is the only one that has the same number of applicants as the.
So we can do that for the agenda for our next regular meeting in August.
Thanks, Gary.
Mr. Mayor, may I?
Sure.
Also, when you send out your email, Monica or Molly, please put the requirements that we need, that the applicants need, so we can look at those requirements. Thank you.
Good.
Eric, with all your work at GMA, do they have any guidance on this or coaching for us on how to make these selections? Or is there a stellar city out there that really has a top-notch way to do this?
I appreciate the question, Jim. I will defer to the most recent president of GMA, Mayor Perriman, who I know has that answer for you.
But I think GMA do offer DDA classes, and I had talked to Monica about this, and I don't know if all our council members have gone to a DDA class or not, but I asked Monica could the instructor come to Madison and teach all the council members of the DDA I know Council Mayor Pro Tem serves on that committee now. And DDA is sort of standalone. Some things we just don't understand. They do things that the city cannot do. But I think they have an instructor to come in and talk to all of us so we can all get the same information at the same time. Is that possible, Monica?
Yes, sir, that is possible, and not only is it possible, it's actually more affordable for us. Then we're not sending, DDA members are the one entity that's required to do 8 hours of training every year, and then they have their Main Street responsibilities on top of that, and then they have to do continuing education units. It also qualifies, if we get the instructors through GMA, it would also qualify for your certificate programs, and that would help all of y'all. And it is cheaper for us to bring that person in. So you'll notice that every other year, we try to bring Frank Jenkins in and do the law. And so, no offense, Jay. And so this year, we will rotate off, and DDA would be a good subject matter training for y'all. And I get a lot more out of money for the instructor if we train 7 DDA members and committee members that maybe are prospective DDA members, and then 5 or 6 council members and some staff too. So it's a better bang for your buck. So we'll look at trying to find a trainer. Dan McRae and Kirby Glaze both do a great job on the legal. So we'll see who is available, and I'll use GMA so y'all can get credit for it.
That'd be great. Yeah,
Mr. Mayor, may I?
Sure.
I am actually the vice chair of the Municipal Training Board. So if we would like to do DDA training here, we can get all of that together and even invite more cities so that we can have a lot of cities in one room together that Madison is hosting.
Right.
Let me know.
The next upcoming training is in LaGrange, and that's where everybody will be for that. And then there is one at Brasstown Valley that's just DDAs and DDAs advanced. So we might have to splurge off of the GMA calendar, but we've got an in who may help us get there.
Okay.
Good, good.
And I think, aren't there 2 DDA classes
Yes.
through GMA, one advanced? I've taken them both, and I could take them again. I mean, I need them again.
I mean, I have too, and,
Yeah.
you know, I could sort of use a refresher course, and which would be great, yes.
If you can take a refresher course as long as it's been 5 years, and you'll still get more credits.
Yeah, sounds great. So Monica, we'll just wait to hear from you then in the future, and that okay with you, John? If
Yes.
we- Good, good.
I think, I happen to know how much authority she has, so I think we should be going through the mayor pro tem.
Yeah.
And especially in view of the fact that we're talking about expanding to 2 new URAs, this
Yes.
seems like it'd be really timely.
Yes.
Good. Thank you so much. Follow up on evaluation, judge, city attorney, and solicitor. So, Eric, were you the judge? Who was the judge?
Yeah, I'm not quite,
I was a judge.
Judge Rick, okay, if you want to give us an evaluation?
Yeah, we met with Judge Merritt, and overwhelmingly, he had positive things to say about the police department and his interactions with those who he deals with, and the city overall. The city had positive, nothing at all negative from in our assessment of Judge Merritt. He wishes to continue to do so, so it's their recommendation, the commission's recommendation to reappoint Judge Merritt.
Okay, thank you. So with the consensus from the council, we put this on our consent agenda. Deborah to reappoint Joyce Merritt. Okay, that's our judge. Thank you.
and Monica's handing out on my behalf the review that I shared for our city solicitor. I did distribute these. These are the minutes that I wrote a couple of months ago June 11th, I guess, only 1 month ago. But anyway, I distributed these. I can't for the life of me remember who I gave them to. So you may not have seen this, but this is my minutes of our meeting. I think Mayor was there, Jim Malinowski was there,
I can't remember. This was my committee.
Carrie Peters-Reed, Manager Clem, and myself. I think we're on the committee. Anyway, this is a quick review of what we came up with for Lee, and then at the time we gave a recommendation on a salary increase, but that was just a recommendation. Someone asked me if I had put that through yet. I don't have the authority to put through any raise, so this is simply our recommendation. obviously what we pay our city solicitor has to be looked at in relationship to what we pay our municipal court judge. I mean, if we increase city solicitor by a large amount, it seems that we need to look again at what the judge is. Anyway, this is just the minutes that I had done based on our meeting with the recommendation. I think the recommendation at the time, which he's at $850 a month, and the recommendation was to increase it 18% to $1,000 a month. That's simply the recommendation. As I say, I'm not authorized to, that's for a council.
And probably, since we've already did our budget for the year, it'd be a good, maybe we need to talk with our city manager, and budget-wise, after this meeting, to see, yeah. Okay.
I might say too, Mr. Mayor, if I
Sure.
can, Judge Merritt spoke glowingly on Lee Moss, and he always does. And he also proffered that he felt, even though it was out of his, sort of, he suggested that he get paid more for what he does for the city. And
Yeah, he always, I think I probably told you the story. I was at one of their court sessions a couple of months ago, and I left in the middle of the municipal court hearings and was on the sidewalk, and the bailiff came running after me and says, "You gotta come back, the judge wants to talk to you." I'm like, oh. So in the middle of all the hearings, he calls me up to Judge Merritt on the podium there, the dais, and basically was lobbying in favor of giving a pay increase to Lee and how great a job he was doing. So he made that pretty clear in his mind.
Thank you. We can get a nod from our council to accept a report from Councilmember Joyce on our solicitor. Good, put it on the consent agenda. And our city attorney.
Yes, we met, it's like Eric said, it's been a while ago, but we all met. The commission met, and everything was a go. Everything was good. We appreciate our city attorney, and we decided to allow him to stay, and he wants to stay.
Thank you. We get a nod from our council to accept that. If you put that on the consent. Thank you so much.
Mr. Mayor, if I may,
Sure.
one comment. I mean, I appreciate the notes that Eric provided. I remember that, and I don't know, no reflection on other committees at all. I'm just saying, I found the notes really useful when I chaired, I think, a couple of years ago, the city, the judge. It was really useful for me to look at like the past comments, just to see kind of what that interview process looked like, what his comments were about whether the workload was. So it gave me, I felt like I was more informed when we were evaluating the judge, because I could see kind of what the comments were last time. So I'm just saying, I mean, it'd be very useful. I don't know if you guys have a written record of that. You might, but it'd be great for maybe Deborah to keep track of that, so that next year when we are doing, or whenever we do our evaluations again, that information's available, so we can, be several steps ahead of the process.
Be great. Thank you, Betsy. Discussion on feasibility study regarding city growth. I think we are at a process now where we need to decide where we're going and what we want to do. Feasibility-wise, we know we have developers coming in and wants to develop property and our industrial property there. And sometimes they don't know what they want to do. They want to go above and beyond. So I think we need to get to what is it that our city wants? Where do we want to go from here? What is it that staff needs? So my question to our city manager, can the city and county work together on a feasibility study? Can we do it at this time, John? It's going to take some time, or?
Well, let me just say, first of all, I don't know whether your feasibility study is the same proposal that planning proposed. And planning proposed a feasibility study, and I very reluctantly cut it from the budget because we are funding a major rewrite for the comprehensive plan, and at the same time, we're kind of in abeyance to find out what the conclusion of the city-county communications or relationships going to be on the area of economic development. And so my first question is, I'm not even sure I know what you mean by feasibility study. And if you've had conversations with our department, I have to respectfully offer an objection because I don't know anything about this item.
No.
And so you have every right to talk about anything you want to, but if you're going to include departments, then I need to be involved. And I don't know what has taken place, and I don't know how this got on the agenda, and I don't know what planning is prepared to say today, but I at least want to know from my staff what they're planning to say before they say it.
Right, and can we give them an opportunity, maybe if there's a feasibility study needed, that, you know, for our city, or our county, or,
I mean, that's a legitimate question. There's not only the question of is it needed, it's can it be funded? We just went through the budgetary process, and other than the advocacy of the department, so I mean, as your city manager, I'm just saying here, in 3 years this hasn't happened, but now are we entering a phase where if someone doesn't get a request through the city manager, that they override the city manager and come to the council? I mean, our police chief wanted 2 staff people, and we made police the highest priority in the budget, and we were only able to do 1, but is he able now to come to the, and I'm not accusing anybody of anything, I'm just saying, I don't know where this is going, I don't know what you mean, I don't know what planning is prepared to say, if anything, and if you want to have input from staff, request it, and we'll prepare. If you want a presentation, we'll prepare it or whatever. But I'm just I'm feeling disrespected that I don't know what this is.
If I may,
Sure.
Mr. Mayor, I feel like when we were sitting down with the county, as we're moving forward, we've been talking about either doing an economic development plan or a feasibility study. I mean, all of that's been bandied about without any decision being made, and without anybody, honestly, I believe, going over your head about anything. It's just been floating out there. I feel like possibly the mayor is trying to just sort of maybe nail something down a little bit about what are our next steps. I think it's maybe more of a next step thing as opposed to anybody, you know, going over anyone's head, really. And I appreciate your feeling about that, and I get that. I think this is, it's just discussion. We're just, you know, there's nothing concrete. And I know, personally for me, I know that we've talked about an economic development plan, which I believe we have set money back for. Is that correct? Or is that not in the budget?
We have $100,000 that's in the planning budget. You get to determine how you're going to spend that. We just got the figure in on the draft, and I just barely read it. I think it's 68,000, am I wrong? Something like that? 60 or 70,000, almost 100,000 right off the bat is for the comprehensive plan. My point, I don't want my point misunderstood. All I'm saying is, if this council wants to talk about growth, I think that's fabulous. And if you'd like a presentation from staff, let staff work on it, not just one staff person, but Sean has something to say about this, I have something to say about this. We'd be more than glad to put a comprehensive presentation together and have a whole work session just on this, and it'd be very productive. That's all that's being said.
Yeah, that's great. And I think that's really what we're looking at. And there was always we always talked about, so we've already done we've kind of budgeted out, or we're looking at what the comprehensive plan is gonna cost. But is that including our joint effort with the county, and they're is that the total amount, or that's what the cities?
You'll see that in the proposal.
Okay.
It'll all be broken down. It also includes the extra studies and proposals we had anticipated.
Okay, such as any kind of a outward, I mean, so now we're talking, well, okay, on top of that then is the economic development plan or the feasibility study plan. Is that separate from, I'm just trying
I was
to,
gonna say, we all over the place right now.
what's that?
We're in a rabbit hole. We was talking about feasibility, now we're
Yeah,
talking
yes.
about economic development.
So I
Okay, go
did
ahead.
not put this on the agenda, nor did I know it was coming forward.
Okay.
So I want to be clear that I am not prepared to speak about a feasibility study. There are different words that are used in terms of feasibility studies, economic growth, economic development strategies. All those are slightly different items.
Yes.
I think that What the mayor might be remembering is we did have a discussion of the economic development money that was budgeted last year for 50,000, and we didn't go forward with anything. We met the thing that was put in the budget, which was put a proposal forward. So if you do want to discuss those things in the future, we can tell you the work that we have done to meet last year's goal, and we did that. So, and as John spoke, it was not funded at this time. There's a range of things there. I think they're different animals, and I think it depends on what you need and want. What we were looking for something was to, whatever you want to call it, and we haven't asked for it yet. I will take that to John when we're ready to ask for it. What we're looking for is information that will inform the comp plan.
Right. Yep.
Just like when we do green print assessment, we get all the data about green print stuff. We want stuff that informs the comp plan. You don't want to put colors on a map to make decisions about growth when it's not feasibly possible. So that's what I mean by a feasibility study. But as John directs us, we will provide information in different categories, get you a cost quote, and we will come to a meeting prepared to discuss that. And y'all can discuss where and how you want to allocate it in the budget, if at all.
Super. That's,
Great.
I think that's good. Thanks, Monica.
Sure. At least to give us some idea, so.
Sure.
Sure.
I was going to say, I think that item generated the discussion that we needed to have. So I feel real comfortable that it's the beginning of a conversation.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Is there anything else to come before our work session this morning? If not, if we can get a motion to go into to executive session to discuss a couple of things, real estate and then personnel. We get a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, show of hands. Opposed is none. We'll go into executive session. Thank you.